1947, a couple is sightseeing in Crater Lake National Park when inexplicably, the man rushes to the edge of a cliff.
She sees that he's looking out at the water and kind of in a trance-like state.
The man continues staring at the lake when suddenly, this is Mysteries at the National Parks. Crater Lake National Park, located in southern Oregon. Its 286 square miles of old-growth forest and lush meadows surround one of the most beautiful and pristine lakes in the world. Formed by a violent volcanic eruption nearly 8,000 years ago, the lake is the deepest in the United States, nearly 2,000 feet to the mysterious ice-cold bottom. For some, this awe-inspiring landscape is also home to inexplicable forces and mysterious entities, known to lure unsuspecting visitors to their doom. July 1947. A couple is sightseeing in Crater Lake National Park. They are making their way through a lush evergreen forest along the rim of the lake.
It's a beautiful day. They're walking hand in hand and having to stop for a moment because it's a hard hike.
Exhausted, the husband stops to catch his breath and takes a sip of water.
It's the biggest mountain in the state of Oregon, but it doesn't really look like a mountain, so it's kind of easy to underestimate it, and many people have.
Despite the man's increasing fatigue, he and his wife continue their upward journey. They follow the trail to the summit, when inexplicably, the man gets a sudden burst of energy. He leaves his wife and races towards the rim of the crater.
He's not out of breath anymore, and he gets up to a spot by the edge of the lake, and as she catches up to him, she sees that he's kind of looking out at the water and kind of in a trance-like state.
The man stands dangerously close to the edge of a cliff, which towers 1,000 feet above the surface of the icy water. Frightened by his odd behavior, his wife talks with him, trying to get him away from the edge.
And she comes up to him, maybe feeling a little bit nervous about what is going on because this isn't like him.
Without saying a word, he hands her his wallet. Then, without warning, he plunges to the rocks below.
She's looking down. There he is at the bottom. He looks like he's actually okay.
Miraculously, the man slowly gets up and continues moving.
He's hobbling, but he's hobbling towards the water instead of towards her.
His wife helplessly watches in horror as he enters the frigid water and doesn't stop.
He was determined to kill himself here and now. And nobody could figure out why. He didn't seem to be mentally deranged.
What can explain the man's strange behavior and why he suddenly jumped off the rim of the crater and drowned himself? Stories of inexplicable deadly events have plagued Crater Lake National Park for centuries.
Certainly a lot of strange things happen here that statistically seem to cry out for some sort of explanation. Lots of accidents, suicides, seemingly more than you would think would happen in a place this size.
This national park is one of the most beautiful and remote wilderness areas in Oregon. But its deadly reputation causes many to stay away.
Many people think that it's a bit of a dangerous place. There are people who are actually kind of afraid of it. Many people actually do think that there is something supernatural going on here.
What could possibly explain the presence of a mysterious, deadly force in Crater Lake National Park? Some believe the answer may be connected with the cold, deep blue waters of the lake itself. 1997. Brad Olson and a friend hiked to the summit of Hillman Peak. Rising over 8,100 feet, it is the highest point along the rim of the 6-mile-wide caldera.
We look down at the lake. There's the beautiful deep blue Crater Lake with Wizard Island.
The young men are awestruck by the spectacular view. Then, all of a sudden, they notice a brilliant shaft of light reflecting off of the lake's surface.
We slowly look up and we saw this perfectly white streak of light, like a laser beam, but there was no beginning and there was no end.
Inexplicably, the light changes direction.
It was so fascinating and so amazing. It just broke off into these perfect square blips as it descended into the depth of Crater Lake.
Just as the light is about to hit the lake's surface, it suddenly disappears.
What I thought it was at the time, it could have been like a military weapons test, although why would it start and stop? Obviously, this was some kind of paranormal experience up here. The experience really solidified in my mind that there is more to Crater Lake than we're being told, and I'm still searching for the answers.
What can explain this mysterious light? Does the lake's spellbinding surface secretly harbor a malevolent force? October 1976. A park ranger in Crater Lake National Park makes a gruesome discovery.
The jeans were laid out inside. Most of the bones had disappeared, and the skull was not there. It was as though he had melted into the pumice.
Crater Lake National Park in southwestern Oregon, a place of contrasting vistas, from the silent majesty of its hemlock and pine forests to its tranquil meadows. But some claim the park also has a dark side, which is responsible for many inexplicable deaths. What can be behind these disturbing events? Some believe the answer could be connected to the park's stunning lake and its mesmerizing surface. October 1976. Two young men hike in a remote area of the park.
They were out hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. That's the trail that goes all the way from Mexico to Canada.
Their journey is interrupted when the hikers spot a backpack off the main path. Concerned they may have stumbled upon the scene of an accident, they notify authorities.
It was a trail that was not well used by people, so they brought the backpack back to park headquarters.
The next day, a park ranger goes to investigate, looking for evidence of a lost hiker.
The ranger arrives where the backpack was found, and going down away from there, he went down into a swale.
The ranger's search takes him far off the trail and into a remote area of the park. In the middle of nowhere, he makes an odd discovery. A pair of men's jeans lying nearby on the ground.
They were oddly placed in the sense that they were still stretched out. The fly had been unzipped. The boots were gone, which is really strange.
The ranger inspects the jeans and is shocked by what he finds.
The jeans had bones in them, toe bones, but most of the major bones were gone. And the skull was not there. The rest of the body was missing. It was as though he had melted into the pumice.
Shaken by his discovery, the ranger scours the area for more clues.
In searching around further, he then found, about 12 feet away, the cap of the skull, but the rest of the skull was missing.
The FBI launches an investigation and determines the bones and pants belong to a 19-year-old amateur photographer from Virginia who disappeared in a snowstorm a year and a half earlier.
He had come to Crater Lake looking for opportunities to take pictures of Crater Lake during the wintertime. And of course, it was impossible to get through all the snow that had fallen over the past couple of months. And that's where his family lost contact with him.
But there is a mystery. The human remains are found 12 miles from where the man was taking pictures, along the rim of Crater Lake. And a powerful snowstorm hit the day he went missing, burying the area under 4 feet of snow. How did his body end up here, so far from where he was last seen alive? Some theorize he may have been dragged the 12 miles by wild animals. But former park ranger Larry Smith disagrees.
The big animals leave the park in the wintertime because there's nothing up there for them to eat. Others speculate that maybe he walked that far. But after you've walked 2 or 3 feet and realize that you're sinking down over your knees, you're going to turn around and go back just because of pure exhaustion.
Despite the FBI investigation, the man's disappearance and death remain a total mystery to this day.
In all my years involved with these type of things, it's one of the strangest things how a 19-year-old boy without snowshoes, without skis, was able to go 12 miles into the most remote part of the park.
This is not the first photographer to have perished while trying to capture the beauty of Crater Lake. In February 1911, noted photographer B.B. Bukowski also disappeared.
He was determined to become the first person to actually get a winter photograph of the lake, and he never came back that winter. And so they searched for him, and they found his camera set up, they found his tent, but he's never been found.
Some believe the disappearance of photographers suggests the presence of a malevolent force in Crater Lake National Park. If true, where does this force come from? A park ranger's haunting encounter may provide a clue to this disturbing mystery.
I can see people walking, circling around the fire, and I'm looking down, trying to make sure I don't fall, and I look up, and there's nothing there.
Crater Lake National Park in Oregon is home to one of the most spectacular and pristine lakes in the entire world. But some claim that the lake's hypnotic beauty conceals a malevolent force that could be responsible for many inexplicable deaths. What is Crater Lake's dark secret? An unusual event several years ago may provide a clue. Summer 1985. Rookie park ranger Jan Kerwin patrols an area around the edge of Crater Lake. It's a warm and quiet night, but as Jan drives through the park, she begins to feel uneasy.
It was my first season in law enforcement, and I'd already encountered some really unusual people up there. So you never knew when you were doing road patrol what you could find.
All of a sudden, she sees something unusual.
What caught my eye was a campfire, probably 30 yards or so into the old campground.
Campfires are forbidden in this area. Jan stops to tell the campers to put it out.
I got out of the car, started making my way, and I can see what looks to be people walking or circling around the fire. I didn't hear anything, but I saw the light from the fire.
Not knowing what to expect, Jan approaches the campers with caution.
You know, being new makes your anxiety go up a little bit. So I tried to figure out exactly how many people I saw around near the campfire.
The flickering shadows and smoky fire make it difficult to get a clear view. Jan moves closer when suddenly she stumbles.
And I look up, and there's nothing there.
Everything is gone. The people and the fire have simply vanished.
So I'm kind of like, this is a little odd.
Within minutes, another park ranger arrives and helps Jan search the area for the campers.
So we walked all around that old campground area and couldn't find a thing. No smoke, no smell of smoke, absolutely nothing.
Strange phantom campfires have also been seen on Wizard Island, a jagged cinder cone rising more than 750 feet from the surface of Crater Lake.
I've seen fires on Wizard Island. Other rangers show up. We all see the fire. You report it, and they go out, and there's nothing. There's no evidence there was ever a fire at the exact spot you saw the fire the night before.
There are also reports of other strange occurrences near Wizard Island. Some have claimed seeing unusual movement under the lake's surface.
People have reported seeing strange shadows passing underneath their boats on Crater Lake. One woman described seeing a dragon-like creature looking up at her as he passed underneath her.
For centuries, the local Klamath tribe have told similar stories of terrifying creatures inhabiting the lake's waters.
I have heard of a giant crayfish coming out and grabbing people and dragging them back down into the water.
What is this creature and where does it come from? Some believe that ancient spirits haunt Crater Lake National Park.
Some people feel that people who have died are still ghosts that remain here at Crater Lake and haunt this location to this day. That kind of ties into the idea of this being a sacred and spiritual place to the Native American who perceive that this is a place of the living and the dead.
Could these spirits be connected to the mythical creatures of the lake, long feared by the Klamath? If so, could the Klamath know the source of Crater Lake's dark powers? Some believe the answer lies in the legend of two great native spirits who waged war here nearly 8,000 years ago.
So for 7 days, they threw fireballs and ash and lava back and forth. And the winter would rule the world of darkness, but the world of light too.
Crater Lake National Park is a place of overwhelming beauty and great tragedy, where some believe mysterious deaths are the result of a malevolent force hidden within the park's seemingly bottomless lake. What could be the source of Crater Lake's dark power? Some believe the legends of the local Indigenous Klamath tribe may hold the answer.
The Native Americans treat this place very reverently and very cautiously. They are fearful of it, kind of like the way that you would fear the deity that you worship.
The Klamath feared the lake so much, they made sure that very few knew how to reach it.
It was such a heavily guarded secret how to get up here to Crater Lake, and only the shamanic class of Native Americans knew about the way to get up here.
What secret were the Klamath elders hiding from members of their own tribe? Many believe they feared the wrath of a great spirit chief, one who had lived here for almost 8,000 years. It was a time before Crater Lake existed, when an active volcano stood in its place.
It was originally called Mount Mazama, and the Klamath people, the ancestors, remembered this mountain exploding and then collapsing into the caldera.
According to the Klamath tribe, it was not a geological cataclysm that formed Crater Lake, but rather an epic battle of two great spirit chiefs, Comacoons and Lau.
And the reason why this legend, this oral history, is so important to us, because it's a part of our religious, spiritual life.
Legend says the great spirit chief, Lau, emerged from the underworld and declared war on the Klamath people after the beautiful daughter of a tribal chief rejected his hand in marriage. Facing complete annihilation, the Klamath asked their great creator, Comacoons, for help.
And they would fight, and the winter would rule the world of darkness, but the world of light too. So for 7 days, they threw fireballs and ash and lava back and forth.
Lau is defeated in a fiery battle that leads to the final eruption of Mount Mazama. With the battle won, Comacoons returns Lau back to the underworld. Their violent struggle forms the bottom of what is now Crater Lake.
After he shoved him down in the hole, blue water come up. His legs were kicking, and he held him, and he held him, and then he let him go.
Many believe Lau is still angry at his defeat, and to this day harms visitors to the area who do not sense his presence beneath Crater Lake's icy waters.
He used his powers for bad.
If the legend is true, it could explain why a man suddenly threw himself off a cliff and drowned himself in the lake. It could also explain why some photographers, hoping to capture Crater Lake's natural beauty, mysteriously perish.
You may have a tragedy. You may fall off these cliffs and die. You may not come back because of the chief of the world below.
Crater Lake remains a temple to an angry spirit chief, born out of the timeless battle between good and evil. Its breathtaking beauty is a powerful reminder of the forces that carved this landscape, a rage that many believe still simmers under the glassy surface of the lake, waiting to reclaim what was lost so long ago.
Standing on the rim of Crater Lake for the first time, it just doesn't seem real. It doesn't even feel like it's on this planet.
Crater Lake is one of the 8 wonders of the world. Its depth, its width, leaves you just awestruck in its power.
There is a fear that you could get hurt here, and therefore we should tread very lightly when we come here to Crater Lake.